because like
man.
yeah, that would have changed history.
Right. That would have been really interesting. But before we get into that, because people don't know what we're talking about, welcome to the Reminisce Show, man. Right here, man. We carry out traditions of Sankofa, man. We were talking about connecting the past to the present to the future, all one timeline, and learning from it and evolving with it in various aspects. But we like to focus on current events, hip hop culture, African diaspora culture, and everything else in between, man. So that being said, man, Mindbender Supreme, how you feeling?
Oh, I'm all right. My brother, I'm here. I'm happy to continue the tradition, and talking with you is one of my favorite parts of the week. I feel a little tired, but I'm happy. And I think most of our idols and heroes got a little tired at one point, but they just keep going.
Man, I hear that, and just like you're saying, like I like these weekly sessions that we hold because it's also therapeutic, and it's something to look forward to and just to like commit to and just build on, creating the possibilities of creating platforms for our culture, for our peoples, and what I mean, just seeing where it goes. So, but I think it's important that even as Black men that we hold spaces where we can communicate and articulate our thoughts and feelings and exchange ideas. You know what I mean? So that's exactly what we're doing, and that's what this represents to me.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%, fam. I'm with you 100%. Yeah, man. How are you feeling?
Along the lines of you, I'm feeling tired, man. It's like, looking at like the summer and how it just went by so quickly for me, surprisingly, I had to bring my daughter back to Montreal on the weekend, and that's when it like really hit me. Where things just went boom, and now it's the end of the summer, and so now again, like with just with COVID and all these different factors or whatever, I'm just really trying to organize for September because a lot of the works I do is in schools, and as like schools right now are kind of up in the air, like there's no real concrete plan. This is really kind of going with the fly. So I'm looking at to see what that means, and then what do I need to do to be like innovative and keep what I'm doing moving, So it's again, like I mentioned from previous episodes, a lot of reflection, a lot of just like doing like inner works and just ensuring that I'm aligned. I'm aligned mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, like all of that. So that being said, no, I feel good. I feel like I'm in a good place to grow, a good place to evolve. Even though some moments may be uncomfortable and confronting and stuff like that, but I'm ready for it. You know what I'm saying? So
that's dope. That's dope, fam. You got this.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But today, like there's some some interesting things that have come up, and I think I want to talk about what we were just talking about before we went live.
Yeah.
Some information that came about Cardinal. Actually, before we get into that point, why don't we just? I feel like I want to play the music video real quick, man.
Yeah. Let's run the tune.
Shout out to Cardinal, man. We're gonna play one of his throwbacks, in the name of reminiscing. We're gonna go back video. Now, interesting fun fact is that this video, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure that this was like RT's first video that he directed.
Really?
So I believe so. I'm pretty sure this is yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So shout out RT, man. He's been doing amazing, incredible things in the scene. But yeah, let's get into this hustling video, man. Cardinal. I love it, man.
No, we're in a rush.
Celebrating with the crew, man. What else do we do? Hand to hand, pass the contraband.
That's solitaire.
They won't hire my brother to work a 9 to 5. So instead of suicide, we hustling to stay alive. I want to live off of them government checks, so we take it up. We got to in the air, prisoners unlocked.
Gun finger in the air.
Paid out the books this year. We want the cocoa butter in law.
God, the bounce.
No doubt, because we made
Hustle it. Yeah. And then they hold on the special effects here. Where does it transform? Yeah. Here it comes.
I'm representing from the
I love that. You don't like me when I'm poor. I love that.
Can I get a soul back? Words of infinite round. Some people hustling because they can't make rent, and that's the style making them $95.
All right, man. Yeah,
30 every time.
Jeez. Yo, man, that's what's up, man. Cardinal, man, big up to Cardinal. You know what's crazy? Like Cardinal used to actually live like right across the street from me, man. You know, in the local community.
What? Across the street from Cardinal?
Yo, it was crazy. Like, so I would always see these guys, like, and as a kid growing up, it was just like an interesting thing, right? Because I'd be watching much music and I would see them do their live performances on the mix or whatever, and then it would all go back to Cardinal's house. You know what I mean? Because like he would have the studio, so I would see like these guys, like certain artists and people coming through, and I remember when I would have certain bridges at my house and they recognized it, like, yo, that's Cardinal. I'm like, yo, just chill, man, just let him do.
Don't blow up the
spot, man. Don't blow up the spot. I'm not even trying to do that. I remember one time I seen him outside, like, and he was like chilling in some whip or whatever. And I had my CD, like the times we're selling CDs on the street with Misery and them and Cryogenics or whatnot. And yo, like he like caught my CD, man. Gave me like a $10 American. You know?
Yes.
And it was just like it was love and support. You know what I mean? So I always have like good books in Cardinal, man. I always pick them up. You know what I mean? Because just like seeing people like that, just like in the community and really accessible, and then also just supporting other artists. You know what I mean? So, but speaking of Cardinal supporting artists, like he was advocating on behalf of an artist that wasn't known at the time. What would you speak a little more to that with your just recent discovery?
Yes, that's really dope. I mean, Cardinal is doing A&R at Universal right now. Cardinal has been the ambassador probably for us, maybe more than anybody else, and I love that about him. He's always just put Canada on his back and carried it around the world. And it's just a really cool article came out I saw a couple hours ago where Cardinal was talking about how he took the demo of Drake to Akon, because Akon had his Convict Records, and Akon, it wasn't just putting out his own music, but he was signing cats. Like Akon signed Lady Gaga in the beginning.
That's a massive movement.
Like it wasn't where Akon, Lady Gaga would be nothing. So so Cardinal brought Drake's demo to Akon, and apparently at the time, maybe around 2008, Akon didn't sign Drake because he said that he thought Drake sounded too much like Eminem, which is a weird thing to think, but Akon is on record just saying it. He was like, yeah, I passed at the time. I thought he sounded too much like M. And it's just like, wow, imagine that history if Drake would have signed to Akon's label and just gone on had the trajectory behind Lady Gaga or something, like as far as that pop stardom, instead of signing on this into the States and Jay Prince and Lil Wayne. Imagine if Drake never had a Lil Wayne connection.
I think it'll be a very different outcome for sure.
A very, very different Drake.
Yeah, a very different Drake, because like him aligning with Young Money and Lil Wayne, there's so much star alignments that happened with that whole movement, including like Lil Wayne going to jail. You know what I mean? Left with gave Young Money this open, so all the resources that were used for Lil Wayne at the time, because he was the biggest artist.
He was.
He got sidetracked, and then it was Drake's time to shine and really carry that torch, and he did an exceptional job, which actually propelled him into a higher place. So that's pretty cool.
You said it, man. You really nailed it. You know your history for real. And at the time, like that really shitty gun charge that shouldn't have put Lil Wayne in jail, but it did. And like it was really fucked up. Like it's so weird seeing the steps and the choices and the decisions, the turning points in history. There's another one. Like speaking of people turning down Drake's demo because they thought they sounded like Eminem. Some people don't know that Eminem almost got signed to Fat Joe and or Duck Down Records. Fat Joe turned down Eminem's demo 6 times. And Drew Ha from Duck Down Records, they turned down Eminem's demo, I know, at least once. So like I mean I don't know all the stories, but just like for the people who back in the days they're like, yo, Eminem, white rapper, nah, it's not gonna work. So like there's quite a few. Some people like could have signed him, but they didn't, and then it went to Dr. Dre.
That's really interesting, because like when I think of like Fat Joe at the time, so we're looking at what, like 97, 98-ish, like when Eminem first kind of came on. Well, like it blew up, like I can see why like Eminem would align with that, because like one of Eminem's favorite rappers of all time is Tretch, from Naughty by Nature. So when I use that, when I think of Tretch and I think of like Fat Joe, Big Pun, like the lyricism, that fast spit, like that kind of vibe, I can see why that would be like an interest to him, like to align himself in that capacity.
You nailed it. You nailed it. Those are very much his heroes and stuff. And he tried to say, like, Fat Joe turned him down 6 times constantly. In fact, I've seen Fat Joe be like, yo, that's honestly one of the greatest mistakes of my career. And he's like, I can say it now. He's like,
Then, that being said, do you feel that like Fat Joe wouldn't have the capacity to like develop and nurture an artist like Eminem in the way that like a Dre could have?
No, absolutely. And the possible parallel would be something like a Cannabis and Wyclef, where they link up for a bit, they do 1 or 2 projects together, and then it's like these people aren't really too good of a creative fit, and then it doesn't work. And like Cannabis, obviously at the time, at a certain point in time in hip hop, had Eminem level power, and Cannabis was the guy. He was the shit. But it's just like, yo, if you're not with the right producer, the right label, with the right crew, it doesn't matter how dope you are, your potential will not be manifested. And Dr. Dre, like the alignment of the stars, the Dr. Dre Eminem link up was one of the greatest hip hop links of all time. Like it was Dre after when everyone's like, Dre's falling off. Who is he without Death Row? Blah blah blah. It was a perfect storm, and like Eminem at the time was nobody, but he was very talented. But like for Dr. Dre to work with a guy like that, it was really shocking and surprising.
And I feel because he already had the experience of like working with artists like Tupac and then Snoop, like like the Doggy Style album and all these different factors. Like there is like he I know that he would have a certain like level of like branding understanding and expertise and knew how he can like market this and there's a lane for it. Other people don't really see that,
That's
like,
really
when I think of like how like the album is produced and packaged, like what I mean? It's like it's really, really, really fascinating, So like you said, it's a perfect storm and for those opportunities. And usually these opportunities come in the midst of heartache and disappointment and like you said, coming off of death row, like Tupac died, like he's not really on that. Like, what is Dre doing? And then Eminem came through and just like catapulted him, and then kind of revived and got like I don't even want to call it like a second win, a third win.
Yeah.
Like so.
Without question. And I actually was, I've been actually starting to go over since we were doing our podcast. I've been watching other podcasts, and I finally last week I watched the Eminem on Mike Tyson's podcast. Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson. So it's really interesting. Eminem brought up the story about when he first got signed, and he's like, he didn't even win the battle that day that got him signed. He came in 2nd place, and he's like, yo, I lost. I was at the Rap Olympics and I lost. And he's like, I just had a couple CDs left. and he named the A&R that was working at Interscope, who came up to him and was like, yo, can I have your CD? And Eminem was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, whatever. He's like walking away dejected from losing the contest. Hand some random dude a CD, yeah, whatever, here, take this, and like walks away to his home. He was homeless and like living in a basement,
right?
Breaking into his crib, and he's like, whatever. Hands some random dude the CD, and the dude is like, I'm gonna take this to Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre. So it's like, it's like, wow, you never know, and like it's meant to be. So.
Yeah, like, you know, and that's just a reminder that like certain things that happen, we feel like maybe setbacks or holding us back or down and leaving us in a state of confusion and just doubt, you know, could actually be a blessing. You know, sometimes when one door closes because there's a better one that's going to be opening, you know what I mean? So that's a powerful, you know, reminder. Yeah, man. But moving along, today, as you mentioned before, is actually the anniversary of Aaliyah's death.
Aaliyah,
baby girl Aaliyah, man. You know, like rest in peace, man. Like I even named my daughter after Aaliyah. You know what I mean? Shout out to Aaliyah, man. Like, and we were discussing before, man. Like I remember when that happened. I remember where I was. Like we're saying, like I was at this basketball tournament at Ryerson University, and it was a Saturday, and you confirmed that. I was like, you know, and I remember that it was kind of raining and you know, it was just a weird vibe. Like the word just kind of spread. Like we didn't have like social media and all these different things, so it was a little slower. But the word still got out, and it was just kind of like phone calls, really. Like, yo, did you hear? You know, and I just remember like, you know, the vibe of the basketball game just kind of like went a little down. We did little tributes and whatnot, but yeah, man, it was just so unfortunate and such a promising young Black woman, you know, who's already been through a whole lot.
Oh God.
Very promising, and it seemed like she was in a place of getting to that independence and just really moving on and forward. And her experiences and her life was cut short, unfortunately. But her memory and her life, you know, still remains. And you know, always, you know, keep her in mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely, yo. Like every love everything you said. Shout out Maria, yo, holding us down. Maria, yo, straight up. And the reason that I wanted to talk about that, I'm pretty sure it was a Saturday when she died, because where I remember being when Aaliyah, her death was announced, is I'm pretty sure I was at the CNE, and there was at the end of the summer, every summer back in the day, there was a great Toronto tradition where they would have a hip hop, R&B, just you know, Black music concert at the CNE. So like classic moments. This was maybe the second or third big CNE show. I'm not 100. I think it was the year after Mos Def and Jill Scott performed. I can't 100% remember who was performing, but I remember I was at the CNE. And there was like, we were around everybody, and there was like about to be an amazing hip hop show, and somebody came out on the mic and was like, "Yo, I hate to announce it, but Aaliyah has died," and like we're like at a amazing show, and like that year, I don't even remember who performed. I just remember I was there, and it was like we were all like, "Yo, man, are you serious?" And like everybody was just like, "Oh man," like tears and just pure sadness, man. Like,
yeah, man. It's wild, man. On that note, man, I want to play a quick one of my favorite videos of her. I just like the vibe and the chemistry that she had with DMX. You know, she had some really good chemistry, man. So we just want to give you know, let the girl live a little more. You know what I mean? Let's just get us some vibes, man.
Hey yo, you know what a dog is? Do you really know what a dog is? Dog is. I just said it with a real let's go hold that dog down. Baby, I am what I am. I'm gonna be who I be. Everything from chasing the cat out on the tree. Let me see what I gotta see. Do what I gotta do. Dog, fuck, lie, but keep it true. Every once in a while, I break out the backyard to roll and get breakfast. But I still know that home is home. And when I get there, I'ma sit there, think about it. Put up there. Do I handle my business? Yeah. Run till I bust my gun and empty the clip. stuck in the streets. Come on, keep the heat. Gotta eat. I'm passing the week. It's out there, want it. All at one time. When it's my time, I'm done.
You for me, you die for me. I know you like to cut from this, but I deserve some time. Baby, I can't wait to talk. You might not make it hard to eat. I better sleep. So you pick up the phone and call me at home. And then you know you ain't in some heat. And I'll go cry in your arms. You know I'm looking out for you. Cause you be looking out for me. Yo, you can go and talk. You make this promise to me. You make it back in one piece. Say you can go and talk. You make this promise to me. You make it back in one piece. Oh, you go back and talk. You make this promise to me. You make it back in one piece. I know you love and love. You make this promise to me. You make it back in one piece.
Oh, like forever.
Forever, man, forever. Yeah, rest in peace, Aaliyah, man. Another fun fact for that specific video, man, that was directed by Toronto's own Director X.
Wow.
So just to add to that, you know what I mean? Massive. You know, Director X was, being mentored by Hype Williams at the time, and he was doing a lot of crazy videos. And then, X started, getting opportunities, and yeah, man, like, that was one of his videos. Like, shout out to X, man. He's done like quite a bit, videos in hip hop, like that BET era that I call it. There's a lot of videos that he did, in that time period. So that's major, man. And
so major. And like, his vision, like definitely Director X defined a whole generation of hip hop visuals. Yeah, like he very much was from the Hype Williams school, but he went on to just do his own things. I was at a panel with him at the University of Toronto last year, where he sat down with the students and just really, like, there was I
was there for a couple though. He's done that like a couple times, like every now and then.
Yeah, it's really dope how he just like speaks to the youth and just drops jewels and answers questions. I'm sorry, I'm having a weird moment. There's a police officer outside my window.
What?
There's a raccoon in the tree out in front of my house. There's a health person with a long pole. Holy shit. Yeah, there was a raccoon like 15 feet in the air. Oh my God. Yeah, and they're just trying to get it out of the tree. Sorry, it's just like right out in front of my.
That's that downtown inner city life, you know what I'm saying?
I gotta get a picture of this woman. She's like really saving some ass right here. Like, this is wild. Some weird thing happens in my block. Oh shit! It's fighting her. Sorry, Doc. Yeah.
Like, police do save cats from trees. Like, it's not just something I heard in some of the 1950s storybook or whatever. Like, it's definitely the raccoon.
Yeah, she had the hook. It was like a pole with a. Yeah, it was kind of like a lynching pole.
And it goes around, and then it tightens, and that way they can like just yoink the.
Yeah, she just pulled it off the tree. Like, it's been a weird thing. Very briefly, the reason it grabbed my eye very briefly is yesterday I was walking home, and right on my block there was a girl who was biking, and her bike got caught in the tracks, the streetcar tracks. And I turned my eye to the right, and she did a full flip and got her foot caught in the bike and like mashed up herself. I thought her leg was broken. There's a whole bunch of us who came around, and like nobody was doing anything.
Yeah.
And like I saw two people pull out their phone and were like videotaping it, and I was like, "Yo, don't videotape this for online content." I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm actually gonna call 911." So I called 911, and I was talking to them about. I was like, "Yo, this girl bleeding from her arm, bleeding from her leg," and I had to talk to her. I was like, "Yo, do you have any broken bones?" And she was just like laid out, and she was like, "No, nothing's broken." So I had a moment where I really had to just step up as a human and just be there for another human in an emergency.
I love that, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I ever see things in the neighborhood, I'm not the type to just like walk past it like, oh, I didn't see that, or like disengage with people. I'm like, yo, man, like if I can help someone, I'll help.
Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that like your first instinct was to help as opposed to like film the situation. Like that's always like strange to me when someone is clearly needs help and then the first thing is like let's film this.
Yeah,
get views and likes or something. It's like, no, let's just support this person. Let's just be a human being. If you're in that position, how would you want to be treated? Like simple factors, So
that's exactly it.
Big up to you for representing, keeping humanity first. And I'm sure this woman, may have a different impression, like I don't know where her interactions are like with black men or whatever, but just to get that kind of experience, and showing just genuine care. Like we need more examples of that, man. So yeah, that's what's up.
Yo, thank you. Yeah, man. I'm that person. Like, yo, I didn't like. It was really shitty because then the cops came up. 2 cops came and they were being a little more aggressive than I thought they needed to be. But I was like, but still, like I just waited until the ambulance showed up and then they took care of it. But it was serious. But on the note of stepping up and trying to do good for the community. I wanted to salute and shout out our big brother, our uncle, Nas.
Okay.
Friday, dropped a new album. On the culture, King's Disease.
King's Disease, man.
I wanted to talk about that for a bit because the title is wonderful and the cover is real.
Yeah, like we were speaking a bit about that. I didn't get to like listen to the full entire album. I'll be honest. I skimmed through it. I heard a few songs because I guess for me, like initially, like I was just really skimming just to hear the production. There was a lot of talks on that, and people feel like Nas hasn't really been the best at beat selections and whatever. Like I think he's done a pretty decent job, but I understand. Like I think there could be more, but music's subjective. Like as long as he's doing what he wants, I think that's the most important thing. As fans, we may have expectations. We want to like revisit the Illmatic era, and we want to put artists in a bubble. But like artists would evolve, and as Jay-Z said once, like people want my old stuff, man. Buy my old albums.
It's so dope. Nas said it on this album too. He had a line like that too, and like it was really dope. Yeah. Nas, he literally says, he goes, "People want the old Nas, go get some old DJ Clue tapes." It's like that's how Nas said it on this album. It was really dope.
Yeah, and I think that's true. And for some reason in hip hop, I feel like as hip hop and black men, like it's almost like we're not allowed to evolve, we're not allowed to grow. Like we're supposed to be stuck in this space. Like Nas is not going to be rapping about the same things he did when he was 18 or whenever age he started. He's a grown man, like, and as we said, like Nas was someone that we always looked up to, like to, kind of, bring some knowledge to the table. Like, like he was very adamant about talking about being a father and being involved in that capacity and just other topics, like he really wanted to like use his music as a way to enlighten while having fun, of course, but really like using it as a way to bring some things to the table. And what I like about Nas is like, recent album, there's a lot of like grown folk talk to it. You know what I mean? Like, this one line, like no, he's like, no rap on my playlist.
Yeah.
I'm not even, I can't even,
I hear it. Yes.
Yeah, like he's probably listening to some like Nina Simone, Frank Sinatra, like he's probably on some different
like Temptations and he's listening, straight up Motown. Like, I'm on my Marvin Gaye week, yo. Right? Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to hear no fucking rappers.
Right.
Like, yeah, exactly, man.
So big up to Nas. I think that the chemistry he had with Hit Boy was pretty good. Like I did enjoy it. Like from what I heard, like the production wise, I was like, yo, like this is a nice vibe, and it's just good to see an artist like Nas, still making music, still connecting, following his passion. Because like he's been doing this since like the early 90s, man. Like you know what I mean? So that has to give credit, especially when you look in the context of artists that have come and gone and are no longer relevant or whatever. Somehow Nas is around and still doing it. You know what I mean? So big up to Nasir, man. Salute, man.
You said it. All those reasons are so relevant. Still here. I love any black man that's really allowed to enjoy this life. Yes. has the freedom to grow and change as an artist and have ups and downs and even, hey man, like let him drop a whack album or two. Like he's just like you know, like that. Some people will call it whack. Some people will call it life is good or Nasir or whatever. They're like, hey, you know, he's just like, I'm not feeling the production this much, or he just got divorced from his wife, so he's in a weird headspace or whatever. It's like, yo, a lot like friggin' Hear My Dear by Marvin Gaye. Like Marvin Gaye has a total friggin' album about him being divorced, and like it's a dark album. Like
it comes out.
Let these people be their full human selves. And Nas very interestingly, he addresses the Khalees abuse on the album.
Yeah.
He doesn't say Khalees's name, but he has a song called Till the War Is Won, and he's like, men beating on men, or men beating on women. And then he says in the background vocal, I would never do that. And like he, you know, like you just know that he's talking about the Khalees situation.
Right.
So generally, like he makes a couple statements, and one of the main statements that I really like that he makes on this album is with the album title. It's just King's Disease. Just when you make it to the top, the affluent lifestyle can be a killer to Black people, or to just to royalty. Like all the rich food, all the drinking, all the excess, all the partying, it'll clog up your arteries. It'll cloud your mind. It'll just make you not that healthy of a person if you are just caught up in luxury and affluence and wealth. That's the King's disease.
No, that's major facts, man. That reminds me of like the story of like Citizen Kane. You know, I was watching this clip online a couple of days ago, and you know, someone coming from you know poverty type state to accumulate a lot of wealth, and then you know having everything in the world and still not being happy, still not being satisfied. You know, and just like what we're talking about earlier, you know, when you have privilege, when you have access, like there could be there's other demons to face. You know
Always, yeah.
You have like the money. It's again, you can get anything in excess. You know what I mean? Whether like, you know, supporting like addictions or whatever the case, like having that barrier. You know what I mean? There is no barrier because you just do whatever you want, and then to have that discipline and to have that balance becomes a challenge, or can become a challenge. You said it. Especially when like the goal that we've all been taught about wealth and success is accumulation in these like material items. You know, like that's what it is. You know, that's like the presentation where it's like, yeah, if I have all this, then I'm going to feel better. I'm not going to feel in this dire state that I'm at. Only to realize you can still have all that and still feel even worse.
Feel worse, absolutely. If you don't have no knowledge of self, if you don't, if you're not listening to your heart, if you don't know what your core values are, your needs, you'll just be lost, and you won't even be in control of your life. You'll just be sitting there, just be like this like waiting to be manipulated by the newest trend or the newest fad or the newest company who's like, you know what, we gotta like put it out in the culture that everyone needs Mercedes and leather jackets, or everyone needs to be on Molly, or everyone needs to drink this alcohol and whatever. And you'll just be following the newest trend that anybody puts out in public, and you'll just be lost.
Yeah, man. Well, speaking of knowledge of self, you know, and like decision making and you know, things that have come about. You know, we look at the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion.
Yes, let's talk a bit on that.
I know that we've been talking about it for a bit because, you know, it's still pretty disturbing. A lot of things that have been going down. You know, there's this whole topic about like, you know, like snitching and you know, Megan Thee Stallion being penalized for that and for speaking about, you know, her being shot and whatnot. So been hearing a lot of like, you know, really interesting comments that like I don't necessarily agree with. You know what I mean? Like I do believe that when it comes to our culture, you know, Black women are left behind. They're left last, like unprotected. You know what I mean?
Unprotected.
And just ignored. I mean, we just look at society, we see what happens. You know what I mean? And I feel like that really needs to change, and it's worth like investigating, worth supporting and aligning and seeing what was going on. You know, I saw this article about talking about like the district attorney in LA or whatever, talking about possibly dropping charges or whatever because of lack of evidence and just and you know, and this is like recent news too, you know, so not really sure what's going on with that, but it's you know, in the context of like, you know, like Black Lives Matter and all these different things that are happening, like it's just on a very unfortunate like time for them, you know, and we have to be reminded that, you know, that we got to like love ourselves as well, man. That goes back to that knowledge of self piece, you know, like how can we conflict how can we handle things without being like reactionary and spontaneous and doing things that we may regret? You know, it's like really unfortunate, you know. So,
yo, that's really it. And I gotta, hey, what's up? Yo, we gotta big up the homegirl Maria, and like knowledge of self and core values, like those core values of always respecting Black women in every situation, in the good times and the bad times, like Sunday morning and Saturday night and Wednesday afternoon, all week at all times, like seeing her get shot. When Megan got shot and she's coming out of the Jeep, she's bleeding and she's trying to buffer the situation between the cops.
right.
She's trying to keep the cops away from the Jeeps, because then if the cops came to the Jeep, they would see Tory Lanez in the Jeep with a gun. It's probably unlicensed or unregistered. And then it would just, then everybody goes to jail.
Yeah.
So she's here protecting Tory. And then when things come out, Tory is not protecting her at all. Tory is not protecting her name. Tory is not honoring her. Tory has not apologized to her. And she, you know, first people were making fun of her, and then she puts out pictures of her very, very mashed up heel. It looked very, very gross. Like not to, like, she's like, yo, look at my injury. It's real. Like, don't make jokes about it. Like, it's I really got shot in the foot. Like, yo, it's a blessing to get shot in the foot. What it should be like, what do you want her to get shot in the stomach? Like, what, how savage are you people? Like, you want, so like, I see the foot injury, and it was still, people are still making fun of her. And then when it comes out that the person who shot her is her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend now, and it might not even get punished, why should she defend his honor? Why should she be like, yo, this person shot me and they're not being punished? If they're not going to get punished in jail, I hope that the streets, the code of the streets, I hope the court of public opinion can punish this person, can make their career, can make sure that they don't get financially compensated for shooting me, and people check this dude to be like, yo, man, what are you doing shooting Black women? Right. Whether you have no good reason for it, whether it's over Kylie Jenner or you just had an argument with her over something in the Jeep.
Oh yeah.
There's no good reason and no excuse for shooting a Black woman. So like,
facts, yo.
So like, Tory needs to get checked, yo. Like, she ain't snitching. She's telling the truth. And like, they didn't do a crime together. They didn't hit a lick. And she's not ratting out to the cops. That's being a rat.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you're involved in certain activities and things of the nature. Yeah.
So that's.
I'm curious, I might have mentioned this before, but like lately I've been really interested in like restorative justice approaches, you know, and if there's a way to have them, you know, sit down and discuss, you know, something, you know, give that space for healing for our community or even just themselves, really, you know, instead of all this like back and forth, like tug of war business, you know, like how could we move forward and do things that heal and enlighten our community? You know, nobody's perfect. There's always going to be situations and mistakes and whatnot. But then what do we do with it? Like, you know, like, yeah.
That's it, because, you know, the slave master just came from punishment, and then more punishment. And there was nothing that was ever fixed. It's just constant broken cycles of
anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody learns. It's just destruction. And then it's just might makes right. Whoever's the strongest person in the room, their saying goes. And if they want to be extremely toxic or not toxic at all, that's all you deal with. Like, that's not, like, it's like jail doesn't heal or fix the problems. It just
no rehabilitation, no nothing like that.
No rehabilitation. Exactly. The dudes come out, they're like, yo, I'm just more angry. I just learned a bunch of other. I was just with a bunch of more convicts in jail and learned more ways to flip the system.
Yeah. They're more connected now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yo, man. It's like, yo, come on, man. Like, if you give. And I'm just circumventing all this shit. I'm like, yo, man, the safest places are not the places with the most cops. The safest places are the communities with the most resources. So you give these guys a future, and they're like, oh, we won't want to do crime. Like, yo, like, I'd rather do the other type of crime, corporate business. Be like, yo, you paper gangsters, where you guys rob 10,000 people or 1 million people with the signing of a pen. Like, you don't use a gun. Like, at least let me get up to your league of criminality, the stock market.
Right. Hey, man, speak on it. That's real, man. You know.
Yeah, exactly. But like, peace to you for even caring about that, man. Like it's like just being a person who just wants to really heal the situation and solve it and be like, all right, how do we move on, and how does everybody get acknowledged?
I think it just comes from just seeing just years and just decades of just like approaches that are just not working. You know what I mean? It's just not working. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, so, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So like, okay, understand that, then we have to explore different ways, go into places that we've never been to, and really see like what those options are. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Then we find something else. We keep it moving. But just like, you know, trying to find, you know, these solutions that don't work, you know, it's like, it's crazy. I think about like Tupac and Biggie. Like, I think that could have been saved. You know what I mean? Like, instead of instigating, instead of people just fueling the fire, being fueled by media and other people's and their agendas and whatnot, there could have been so much. Like, if these people were here with us today, you know what I mean? It would be really, really fascinating. You know what I mean? So I look at things like that, and just like the value of life too. You know, like there, you know, like the value is just like so like disposable at the mindset. You know what I mean? And like life is so precious, and you know, we just got to look at it from that perspective. For me, you know. That's what it is.
Oh, I'm with you, brother. I am so with you, man. Word. On that note, you want to take a walk? You want to take a walk down memory lane?
Man. We get some exciting.
Yeah. No, I gotta pull up my other
flyer. Like, you know, if you can list like the venue. I'm curious about like the venue too. Like, you know, because a lot of these spaces don't even exist anymore, man. So
you said it, man. Oh shit! Something fell in my lap. Yo, Bill and Vinny Paz.
Oh shit!
At the Rock Pile, Rock Pile West. Do you remember this one?
I don't know if I've been to Rock Pile, but I've definitely been to like a few necro shows. Actually, it's pretty wild still, man. Shout out to the Opera House, man. Like,
yep. I performed at the Rock Pile a couple times. I opened for Redman there.
Hey.
On Halloween, I opened for Redman there. The Rock Pile was a dope venue because there was the Rock Pile West that was out near Kipling Station, and then they had Rock Pile East, which was it was in Scarborough, right near Jilly's.
Oh,
wait, was it? Caddies. Yeah, exactly. Jilly's was downtown. It's just the names rhymed, my rhyming brain. But yeah, so like, the Rock Pile East and West was pretty cool, and those clubs opened when the Reverb closed downtown. It was the owner of the Reverb, so and the Big Bop and Cathedral.
Right.
So anybody who knows any Toronto history hopefully went to
a lot of history in those two spots right there.
Yeah. So yeah, man. That was a good place. Rock Pile was dope. That was a dope venue.
2013, man.
Yeah. And man. Any last thoughts, man? You got any Maria? How you doing, yo? You good? You want to just check in our peoples?
Yeah, no doubt, man. Respect for all the comments. Beautiful. Yes.
Shout out.
I don't have anything to close off, man. I think we definitely covered a lot, and man, we just got to continue just loving our peoples and giving space, and for healing, for transformation, for evolution of our minds, and the way we treat ourselves and the way we treat each other. We just got to keep that energy going, and I feel like people like us are the ones who are spearheading this. You know what I mean? Like we're here to bring change. We've always been doing that. Matter of fact, I remember before we close, like you're talking about the first rhyme that you ever written.
Oh yes.
You know what I mean? And just really going back to like this energy that we have. And what was the name of that piece?
It was called Black and Angry.
So your first piece that you ever written back in 91 or whatever you said it was.
Yeah, October 19th, 1991. Like I wrote the date on it. I remember.
This guy even got the date. Black and Angry. So after all these years, we were coming close to 30 years later or whatnot. Like, what's Are you still black? Are you still angry?
Yes and yes. Like, yeah, it's just like.
And then my follow-up question before you even answer is, what has changed, if anything, since you wrote that piece? Like the energy you're feeling in that piece versus what's happening now?
Yo, I'm really glad you asked, because it's really cool. My understanding of blackness has gotten deeper, and my understanding of anger has gotten deeper. Like blackness, it's just like, on a certain level, it's a word that we didn't even create. It speaks to our culture, but I'm like, yo, I was young and I thought I was black, but I'm like, now I know black is a name that was made by the slave master, and like, we are Africans. We are all African people. I respect, I acknowledge black culture, but we were stolen from Africa. That's just the fundamental, eternal, timeless truth. And me being angry, I'm like, it's not young anger where I'm just screaming at the system, trying to chant down Babylon, like fuck the police anger, which is still valid and real. I still have that, but it's also taking your anger and putting it into action, making art out of it, like making sure that I take care of my body, making sure that I like have loving and healthy relationships with other people, make sure that that I'm not lashing out in violence, because being angry and violent is what the cops want, what the system wants. They're like, yo, we need to keep filling up our jails, so let's keep people confused, and as long as we arrest them and fuck over their rights, we can keep this whole charade going. And I'm like, no, I'm too smart for that. I'm black, angry, and smart. I was taught by Chuck. I was taught by Chuck D. Chuck D is like, for sure, I was trying to be like little young Public Enemy with that little rhyme, and there ain't a damn thing changed. So,
well, that's one of the best influences, and to me, like, that represents hip hop culture. The voice of the oppressed, those who don't have a voice. It's amplify them. Like Chuck D and them always said, man. Hip hop is like the black CNN. You know what I mean? So it's our way of getting our information out to inspire, to be enlightened, to be encouraged, and all of that. You know what I mean? So what a beautiful entry point. And you're still keeping up the good fight. Still moving forward. Still bringing love, still bringing awareness, and that's what it is, man. So
shout out! I gotta big up my homegirl Maria. Transformation and healing and evolution. That's really, really what we trying to do here. Like, just being black and just being allowed to grow and expand and have children, make art, and make learn culture, and just keep enjoying life instead of being oppressed and repressed and limited. Like, we just here to enjoy the maximum benefits of life here, like anybody else. We all deserve the best. So
that's it. Word, man. On that note, man, I think that's the best way to end this segment, man. This episode of the Reminisce Show. Yes, man. St. Covid traditions all day, man. Always keeping Mother Africa in our hearts, in our minds, in our souls, in our being. Everything that we do is going back to those ways, because Mama Africa's ways is humanity's ways. It's community's ways. So we have to get back and unlearn the traditions that was taught to us and reconnect with what was stolen from us. So, yeah, man, that's what it is.
Thank you for helping me do that. Thank you for bringing your wisdom, and we're going to keep doing it forever.
We are, man. So on that note, Reminisce Show until next week, man. Logik, Mindbender, already know.
All right, peace, Maria. Peace, everyone, y'all.